Welcome to the Bounty Hunters. We are here to review the very last ever Bad Batch. And it is the Cavalry has arrived. So that tells me there's going to be giant battles, hundreds of clones are going to come. It's going to be giant set pieces. It's going to be amazing. Are we ready to get into this?
Don't forget all the cool characters that are in Star Wars are going to turn up.
All the characters we talked about last episode, if I can remind you, we can rewind a little bit. We had all these predictions of we must named off 20 different people, and we were going to see them all in this episode. And I'm assuming we're going to get to see all of them. So let's go. The opening shot and music, if you guys remember, was freaking ridiculous. It was actually really good. They had it had the whole episode to me kind of had a dark motif going. A lot of foreshadowing. Don't know if that foreshadowing paid off, but a lot of darkness. The music was awesome, as we talked about several times. I thought the opening scene was pretty awesome. I was very excited for the opening scene.
Not only the opening scene, but the intro music was different.
Yes, instantly noticed that. I was wondering if they were when that happened. I was wondering, are they going to forego the intro and just go straight into the episode, and they change the music up and everything?
So we got a thing that immediately is, I guess you could have been thinking maybe she wasn't going to, but it's pretty clear right away that the doctor is now trying to do the right thing. And it's a bridge too far, and she wants to do the right thing. And she's helping the one-armed bandit get to the kids, which I thought was interesting because for half the show, there is a random stormtrooper following her around that doesn't seem to be like any other stormtrooper. She's never had an armed guard before. No one questioned any of this. She's just walking around with them, and people are like, "Hey."
My question would have been, what was her plan after they got in there and the kids were there? How were they going back out through all those doors? All the guards idea. Being
It's a really good question because it was interesting.
No, well, they didn't say anything, did they? They just had a plan. Wasn't Plan 99.
And this is the most secure place ever. When she first went in there, it was almost like the guards didn't want to let her in, even though she was there with the boss. And she just takes a random stormtrooper in there, and they're like, have a great day. No one questions anything. It's And I will say that's a motif that it happened all this season, but it happened a lot. And I think that's where Disney is messing up a lot. I think that's where they're screwing up a pretty heavy amount because they're making the Empire too incompetent. The Empire needed to be almost undefeatable because everybody says that. And then ever so often there was one little slip that they didn't see, like the vents in the fucking Death Star. There was one little thing that they didn't see. And instead now in every single series, almost every single episode, it's just a complete and total breakdown of any kind of security, any kind of logical makes sense. And I'm like, if they're that incompetent, why didn't everybody rise up against them instantly? Because they're apparently a bunch of idiots. So that's one thing I think they need to be very careful about is just the complete incompetence of the Empire is starting to become a little bit much.
So they're using clicks now, right? Did you hear Hunter? I think he said it before in the series. The base was 5 clicks away.
Yeah.
I thought it was parsecs. What are they doing? They're using kilometers now?
Nothing fancy, nothing exotic like kilometers. Get out of here. We'll stick with miles and yards and feet. We're not doing.
I was impressed. The kids, they got out real quick. That was 2 minutes? That whole scene?
Yeah. I was, when they got in the vent for a second, they started climbing. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Did you count? Did you go back and count?
I went back and tried counting. My brain. There was a lot of power involved trying to count. The first moment when she went in there was 10 seconds. The first time she got in there. And then she got in there about 10 more times. So I was like, okay.
We'll get into Omega because to me this is the most glaring problem that I had is Omega because the show was dark. The show was dark. The show was awesome. I was super getting into it. Every time I turn around, I'm getting more and more into it. And then they would cut to Omega, and it was a totally different feel, a totally different show. It became a weird kid show. But here's what they said. She said, okay, she's sitting there saying, we're going to be ready to go. I'm going to go save the day. You guys hang out here, okay? Don't give anything away. So she goes off. I actually kind of like the fact that she kind of rewired the droid, even though that seems a little bit, again, a breakdown in security. You can just rewire the fucking droid that fast. Seems a little bit weird. But here's the thing. If you've ever been around kids more than 30 seconds, anytime kids are sitting very stiff at a table and just looking at each other, darting around eyes at each other, there should have been 9,000 alarms going off. There's kids up to something because they're not doing anything but sitting very stiff, staring at each other with big giant eyes. I was like, I mean, she came down there pretty fast, but I was like, that should have been a giveaway that something is up. And the droid just slowly came around. I didn't know what that droid was doing. That was like the slowest droid float ever. And then it's coming to her and it's like stab. And then she just collapsed on the ground. I was like, oh, dang.
So I want to bring this up. I want to just get right to the fact that what Omega does, her plan. So they start crawling through the vents.
Yeah, that's
poor kid has to carry the other one like the entire time. They get in the vent, and she's like, okay, we're going to hang out in the vent here. And she goes and she frees the Xylo Beast. So her plan was free the Xylo Beast, let it create a giant diversion, and then they can escape. Here's what I want to know. She had that idea. She's like, I have a plan before her brothers came.
That's right.
So she was going to escape with the ship and all of them by themselves, I guess. But, as it is. So the Xylo Beast goes and just goes crazy havoc, destroys everything, and creates a pathway out. And then they're like, well, he went up that way. We should follow him. And then they climb. They pan up.
What was that? How many hundreds of feet was that?
I'm afraid of heights. And the other kids are like, we're good to go. And I said, in my head, I'm like, if this was any other show, like 2 of those kids would have fallen their deaths in the mid of the climb. The exhaustion of climbing that.
That's a lot of ladders.
Kachung here is a climber, right? He used to climb. He used to climb rocks, and now he climbs trees. That was like seriously, like 30 stories. A person who does that for fun or a living would have been really hard to climb up metal ladder for like thousands of feet.
At least 100 stories.
That was crazy.
With the bear on the back, dead. He would just like drop the weight and just kill the kid.
If you've ever crawled anywhere, if you ever been through like a small space kind of thing and you have a backpack on, or even something you don't normally have on, that backpack will grab a hold of like trees and stuff, and you don't even realize you have it. So that kid has that baby on his back climbing through stuff. That kid lost his head 3 times, I guarantee. They bounced that damn kid all over the place because there's no way that he was like climbing through like AC ducts with a kid on his back.
I was gonna say Omega, when we watched her do it, she was like maneuvering and all this stuff. That kid, boom, boom, boom.
No, he was getting, and that's why he started crying and pissed everyone off because he was getting his head smacked in every 2 minutes. But yes, her plan was to basically release Godzilla, right? Her plan was to release Godzilla, and I love how they kind of did this like a Godzilla. I had some pretty decent Godzilla feels going on. She released Godzilla. Her and these kids that she was responsible for are 5 feet away from Godzilla behind the AC vent watching it. And you hope to God that he's just going to turn around and go the other way. Because if he does anything, swings his tail, or they're gone. They're good for, they're smoked. And luckily he climbs away. Obviously, that's very convenient. He climbs away. And they're like, yeah, we're going to, like you said, we're going to follow him up 100 stories. No problem. Grab a ladder, stop bitching. Start climbing. This is here we go.
Start climbing.
Like, it's crazy.
Show how long that was. My God.
There was some good editing. Like they had that, Godzilla roar. It was roaring just like Godzilla. And then it went straight to Hemlock or someone. It was like, quiet, completely silent. I thought that was pretty neat.
Now, Hemlock was interesting. Him deciding like him free, and once it got out, it was like, oh, he's like, no, pursue it. It's like Scorch was like, we should lock the base down because they're gonna make an exit and enter the base as well. And he's like, no, chase after this creature. Which this creature at this point, you're not getting him back. He's gone. He's I
will say she did get lucky enough to have that one Zillo beast that has no problem just going out from the opposite direction of where it wants to go, which is it wants electrical power. But this little beast is like, you know what? I'm just going to go hang out in the woods and leave all the energy behind. And I'm just going to go hang out in the woods. I'll catch you guys later. Like, it's a good thing they found that one Zillo beast that does that, because the rest of them didn't do that.
But it should have been, I'm skipping really far ahead here. It should have been like when the Star Destroyers arrived, they'd have to blow up the base because the Zillo beast is getting too powerful and taking all the energy of the base. And they have to destroy it, which would be a reason why everything's gone. But no, they didn't do that.
Yeah,
I will say that when I think it's when the Zilla Beast makes his final smash to the walls. First off, stormtroopers got to be the stupidest people ever. The whole side of that wall is breaking down, and they're just like, "Oh, look at that! The whole wall is giving away. What do you think that is?" And then here comes Godzilla, and they're like, "Oh, look at that! Shoot it! Like, what are you doing? It's like 4 stories tall. Get away from it."
Run.
But what I did like about that, they did turn that into a really cool kind of Godzilla moment. So you had this weird thing where you had a Godzilla feel because they weren't really showing it. You just heard all the screaming and the roaring and everything. And then you had Star Wars, and then they did the famous, Death Star alarm was going off in the background. And then you had this Star Wars and like Godzilla almost mashup. It was actually kind of cool for like a second. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat because it's like.
Have we ever seen or talked about Hemlock rubbing his hand?
He constantly rubbed his hand, and I was
like
wondering,
Crosshair,
huh?
Like Crosshair does.
Yeah, and I was wondering what that if there was leading in anything with that and what that meant. And also, I was looking. He had a glove on his hand, and I wasn't.
Did he always have that glove on his hand?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was always a different color.
Did we just don't remember that they referenced that he has one glove on Michael Jackson style? We don't no reference to it.
I was just going to talk about Crosshair.
Same.
Having a good heart, like when they were going after. He said he was going to go after them by himself.
Yeah, he did.
Self-sacrifice, basically.
Yeah, he definitely said it was going to be self-sacrifice. Like I deserve this. Let me go. You guys get out of here.
But I
together.
My God, we had like at the beginning of the episode, Wrecker going like, everyone's like, "Are you okay, Wrecker?" And he's like, "I'll be fine." And he like constantly is in pain. And I'm like, okay, Wrecker's gonna do something stupid, and he's gonna die saving someone, and then saving Crosshair or whatever. It's like constantly he's getting worse and worse. He's shaking more and such. And he's like thinking about the mission. And then once later, I keep skipping ahead here in my brain. He gets his hand cut off. I'm like, that's it. What's gonna in my mind? This is exactly what was in my mind. Once his hand was cut off, I'm like, he's gonna miraculously make a shot with his other hand. He's a perfect sniper, so he should have both his hands should be perfectly trained, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so he's gonna make the shot with the other hand to save someone last second, and then he's gonna die after that moment. Like he's gonna die doing that. And well, he did do part of it. And then Hunter just running around doing his thing.
What's his thing again? What's Hunter's thing again?
Well, just sensing the environment. I don't know.
He did jump out of the way at one stage. Something coming from behind.
He did. So that guy who's the sniper who we were like teased at a while, like who is this person, whatever, right? We're not sure.
Yeah, he's not one.
Gets revealed to be have a whole team. He has a Wrecker. He has a. I couldn't tell which one was the other one supposed to be. Like I was like the one with the 2 batons. Was that supposed to be Tech or was that supposed to be Hunter?
I'm assuming it's Hunter just because he was always kind of like one step ahead of
Melee.
People. Yeah.
Now what? And then there was the zap thing.
Well, that was the Wrecker with the big spear.
Was it?
Well, yeah, the big guy went hand to hand for a minute.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because he was the one that was standing over watching the chaos happen.
Yeah, at first. And then there was another one. But the thing is like, okay, they have this whole team here, which go out there and they fight the Bad Batch and like Wrecker. I thought that's how Wrecker dies. He's just gonna get tasered to death. And no, it didn't. And they all got captured. And Omega sneaks in there. And I like that moment though when she's like doing it and she looks up and the guy just suddenly just turned around just staring at her. Not doing it.
Oh, before all that though, you forgot that they did make the cute little climb on the ladder. They did climb their way out.
I'm jumping all over the place here. Doesn't work.
And they met up with the doctor and Echo, and they said we're going to take these kids and we got a shuttle ready to go. By the way, the guy who had the greatest lockdown defense strategy ever had no orders to not let a ship leave. Apparently, you could just leave anytime you wanted to. That would seem to be a little bit strange. Yeah. So they go onto this ship, okay? They're like, okay, get the kids and the doctor. Here are the coordinates we want you to go to. At that point, I said, oh my God, they're going back to that stupid island again. I had a feeling. They're like, yeah, okay. Without talking to her, they're like, "Be safe." And he looks at her and goes, "Are you ready?" She was like, "Yeah." There ain't no way in hell that damn Omega should have gone back in there to go fight. He should have put her back on the ship. I don't care if she's part of the team. I don't want to hear things. She is still a child. She still screws up more than she does it right. And you're going to take her back in there. The whole reason why, because they end up freeing a bunch of clones as well. Most of them died, by the way. Spoiler alert. And they end up freeing all them, and they're seeing they're dying. People are bringing her for her to get her out of there. And they're like, okay, here's a fast way to get her out. Okay, you guys take off. Me and Omega are going to go back in there because we're both super soldiers. Like, what? That made no sense whatsoever. There's no way she should have not got on that ship.
I personally felt Emery should have died like saving the kids, opposed to just getting them out of there.
But we wouldn't have had those really creepy moments with her and her brother later on that we'll get into.
Maybe they moved to Alabama.
So we did have a kind of a touching moment where I can't remember her name, the big person.
Tom Wee. Is it Tom Wee? Nalase.
Yeah, Nalase is there, and she was like, "Listen, I'm not going to leave with you. I screwed up. I can't let them have my technology. I can't let." She said. Yes, she did.
She said, "I screwed up."
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna say 3 minutes to tell the way she does it.
I will blow up my evidence of war crimes.
No, she's doing it for a good reason, not for hide or war crimes.
My insurance purposes will be a good payout later.
So she decides that she's going to go, right? And everyone leaves, and everyone sees this snake in the grass, Imperial, who they just ignore, let him run wild, and they tell the whole. Yeah. He's constantly watching back and forth. They do the ultimate thing where they tell their entire plan in front of him. Then everybody leaves to make sure he's not there. As she's going, datapad indoor. She gets to where she's going. Datapad in machine. She looks through there. She finds it. All of a sudden behind her, you hear the guy go, oh, what's going on here? And it was, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now.
Rampart.
Yeah, Rampart standing behind her. Why is this girl so important? The whole time I'm thinking, where the hell is his data pad? You can't get through one door in this whole damn base without a data pad. She had to use a data pad to get in here. And he just followed her in Goonie style and just followed right behind all the doors being unlocked. I'm thinking, okay, here's where they're going to piss me off because he's going to shoot her or something. She's going to die. He's going to get the information. Maybe he makes it out. He probably won't, but he'll have the data pad full of stuff. He's going to die. It's going to drop. Later on, you're going to see somebody walk by and pick it up. That's how they get the information out. So like imagine my shock when he shoots her and she kind of goes, yeah, that's cute. And then this fucking drops the grenade like the ultimate martyrdom from Call of Duty and blows up everything, him included. I was like, wait a minute, what in the world?
That was probably my favorite moment of that scene was probably my favorite scene of the whole episode. Just seeing like that talk and then him just being confident. Also, I love it. I was like, tell me everything about her. Comes back later. That's a lot to know, basically. Like,
yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot of story to tell me. Like, what, in 30 seconds with her going?
Do we need to know any of that? Should we have known any of that?
It all started with the cloning process. So, how long were y'all talking? She told that whole story, and like, how long? Was that 2 week cutaway? Like, how long were they fighting in that shit?
He's like, I don't care. I'm just taking the dead. Yeah, I love that. There's the thermal detonator going off. He just looks down and goes like, "Oh shit," basically. Yeah,
I did like the look on his face is pretty good.
Also, yeah, don't forget the mention of like I want to bring up when Echo gives the information to Emery and such. He goes, "Well, reach out and rendezvous with Rex. Like, contact Rex."
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Rex.
He's gonna show up
because right here, it says on top of my sheet right here, it says the cavalry has arrived. So he'll be here in a minute. Don't worry about it. He'll be here.
Yeah, my brain was like, what's gonna happen is they're gonna get like where's because they have no exit now. What ship are they leaving on? Also, wait a minute, who the hell picked them up?
Yeah, because remember they flew off. And they went into hyperspace as the bad guy came in.
And Star Destroyer showed up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been perfect if that's how the Bad Batch died, like Rogue One, when they go into hyperspace and the Star Destroyer comes in, they just smash right into it. Wouldn't that have been a great way?
Don't you tease me with a good time right there, my friend. So then, so like you were saying, they start fighting the Alpha batch or the C batch, I guess. They lose. They get their ass absolutely handed to them. And at one point, they have Crosshair pinned down. He said, "You need to be more careful with your shooting hand." And then he chops the hand off. I was like, "Whoa!" And that's what I'm talking about. It was dark. It was super cool. And then they would cut back to Omega, and then she's like, "We gotta save the world." Hee hee. And I was like, "Why do you keep doing this?" It's like so weird. It's so like I don't even know.
This?
So she, like you said, she sneaks in. She unlocks one of them. The one that I thought was Wrecker. Apparently, I think he must be half zombie. We already said that what's his name is a zombie. Echo's a zombie. He gets more and more.
I'm sorry, he gets every time we see Echo, he's more gray.
He's more gray than the last time. Yeah. But Wrecker must be too, because Wrecker died 4 times in this episode, it seems like. And then he's on his deathbed. Then she like releases one hand, and then he was able to break free of, I'm assuming, something you're not supposed to be able to break free. And he was like, "Oh, I'm powered again, raw." And I'm like, okay.
Well, I was like, oh, you'll forget one thing. I have him. And then Wrecker breaks out. And I'm like, Wrecker's gonna die doing this maneuver.
Okay.
This is his last maneuver.
And 3 times, I didn't even say why. That's one of them. 3 times on this back page right here, I wrote, "Why is she so cringe? Why? It's unnecessary." Because she just does stuff like that. "You're forgetting one thing. I have him." Like, somebody's going to do that. No, just shoot her in the head. Like, you don't need to have a conversation with her. And instead, she's like, "What?" And then...
They like capture and do all this stuff. They can just knock her out, right? They don't need her awake at like.
They don't need her awake. They don't even need her alive. Technically,
easier to take care of.
They just got to pump the blood out of her.
So it's just true. So all right. So I want to. Oh my god.
The stress is making him gray. You know, most people have hair, but he's just turning gray.
Okay, so.
Let's just finish it up before we go into the tuber thoughts. So. As they're fighting, the bad guy, the head of the,
you go to the roof.
Yeah, he takes her.
Overcome again, right?
They gotta have their rain moment. All Star Wars loves the rain, so they go out there and they're gonna take her to the ship. He has the little bracelet with the buttons that apparently, if you just do a random button thing, it does different things. One calls in the ship.
Sorry, that's what I was gonna say. I love it. Just quickly like handcuffed her together, just ran off. He's like, "Yep, this is."
Yep. They exit the building, and what was he doing? He was going to get to a shuttle, right? And how far away is that shuttle? Like right across that bridge. They got to cross. What do they do that?
Especially when when he gets to the end and he has a float right next to him. Well, you could have had a float 100 yards back, couldn't you? Like, you didn't need to cross that really long path in an emergency situation. So. The other thing that's weird that I feel like Star Wars does now, and then I have a question now. Why don't we do this all the time when people are getting away? So as they're about to reach up to get into the ship, all of a sudden a shot comes out, takes out one engine, another shot takes out the other engine, and this thing explodes. And I'm thinking, well, you got a lot explaining to Star Wars, because we should have been doing this for the last 100 years. Like, why aren't we just shooting out engines?
I saw that and I was like, whoa. And I also thought in my head too when I saw that scene. I was thinking about Kachun. When that thing came in, he was probably like, "Yes, that ship," and it immediately blew up.
They immediately blew up his favorite ship.
At first, I thought it was Tarkin because he was supposed to be coming. Mm-hmm. I'm like, just shot Tarkin down.
Yeah, in the middle of it.
That ship was shot. Yeah, it got shot down, and it turned, and I'm like, wait, that same talk in my head. I'm like, did he just shoot it with just a regular blaster bolt?
Yeah, just a regular blaster bolt. But in the middle of all this, sorry, I know we are jumping around crazy amount. Sorry, but in the middle of this. He's, there's a damn.
You should have watched the finale if you're going to be watching this.
Godzilla beast running loose. The most important person in the galaxy, Omega, running loose. His base is being exploded around him, and he's like, "Hey, Tarkin's on the phone," and he was like, "Oh Jesus!" So he goes, makes a FaceTime call with Tarkin. Tarkin like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Nothing. I heard your base screwed up." No. Who knows what you're talking about? He's like, "We'll see. I'm on my way." And he was like, "Yeah, glad to have you." And he pushes the button. Like, "Holy shit, we got to get moving because Tarkin's coming."
Also, how did Tarkin know? Who informed him?
Let me tell you something. If I had got out of that situation, if I was him, people are getting shot tonight. Because who told Tarkin? Which one of you low down dirty dogs ratted on me to Tarkin? Because this is supposed to be the most secure base ever. So I imagine that means the communications going out and in should be monitored, correct? And some low down dirty dog has Tarkin's personal cell phone number. Apparently, it was like, I got a hot one for you. I got a tip. He's screwing it up over here. But yeah, they did have the famous when Tarkin does show up. He shows up, of course, with the cavalry. That is the cavalry, I guess, is Tarkin. Tarkin shows up, and they had that famous, the little triangle going over the thing really slowly as they come in. And obviously it was a little late. But so they're sitting there. They blow up the ship. They turn around. He's like, oh, they're not going to want to hurt you. And then she's like, well, they don't want to hurt you. You don't want to hurt me either. So they have this little standoff. Crosshair sitting there with his one hand and, his little nub and his gun. He's like, I don't want to shoot her because she's too close. And he's like, oh, trust her. She knows what to do. And then she, of course, stabs him.
Shivs him. She shivs him.
She did. She shivved him like a jailhouse criminal. Shivved him and then pulls the hand up. They take the shot. They blast away. He falls to his death.
Oh, please don't forget. You're missing out the more important part. They go and blast Scorch like crazy and kill him and send him flying off the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Which is kind of weird.
My poor Republic commando gets just destroyed.
So yeah, they kill him. He's over with. We all have a great moment together. We're going to ignore the fact that the reason why they came there was to save clones. They're all dead. I mean, I assume a couple of them lived, but most of them seem to have died. And then, so they get on the ship. They have some corny moment. Now we can, make our own stars or whatever the hell they said. They blast off, and as soon as they pop off, into non-existence because they're going in, light speed, Tarkin shows up. Tarkin walks around. They said, yeah, I got the assessment back. Listen. Whole base is destroyed. There's a goddamn Zillo beast running around. Everybody's dead. All the technology's gone. He's like, yeah, because I didn't know Tarkin had this much power. Yeah, board this place up, move all the funds from this to my personal project, and let's get on the ship. We're going home. Like, you have that power, Tarkin? The Emperor got nothing to say. This is the Emperor's personal project, and you're like, yeah, move the funds over to mine.
It's over. This whole thing's done. Except Project Necromancer doesn't end. We know it continues all the way until after after he's dead. After the Emperor is dead, Project Necromancer is still going on. And
that's why it's called Necromancer.
Basically, yes. And the thing is, they would have still had, like we talked about earlier, even though all these records got destroyed, they still would have had all the information about Omega and then hunting her down for it.
Well, obviously they have to because the Necromancer project worked, obviously, so they had to have some information about her. And
it went to Project Stardust, where he's creating unicorns or something.
Yeah, some kind of
absolutely.
He's grinding up stars to make some kind of special dust. I don't know. It's not like a drug, maybe. Maybe that's it. Spices like replacement one day. We had some stuff we said needs to be settled, needs to be resolved. I didn't make a list, but they included.
It was an hour long, at least.
It was an hour long. We did call that. And you got that officially on the MrGarrell channel. You would have known that it was going to be at least an hour long. I made that call. Broke that news.
3/4 of an hour.
By the way, Kachung sent us
an hour. It was a TV hour.
Kachung sent us a message about 20 minutes before he got on saying, I just sat down to eat. I'm going to watch it. And I just saw how long it is. So that was fun. I was like, wait, he did what?
I figured he knew. I figured you knew it was an hour. Right?
No, I honestly didn't even check.
Thank God it wasn't 75 minutes then.
We would have had to postpone this till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we said they're going to have to answer what happened to the clone leadership, right? So all the famous people, the Codys and all them.
Nope. We no mention of Cody.
Okay, so that got did that get resolved? That didn't get resolved. No, it didn't get resolved.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. With Cody.
We said they're gonna have to say who the main villain behind the mask is. Who could that be? Could it be Cody? Could it be nothing? It just didn't get resolved. The famous thing Star Wars has been doing.
And more of them, and more of them were no one.
Yeah, more no ones. We said that we're gonna have to see the groundwork for like future things. What are they gonna do with some other stuff? No. They just ignored all that. I said you can't have somebody as famous that everybody in the Empire was looking for. Every bounty hunter knew who she was, an Omega. You can't have her just running loose. So she either needs to be in deep, deep, deep disguise or dead. In a minute, we'll find out that totally didn't happen. And one of the first things we said, that absolutely no way can they go back to the island? They're like half the population was murdered, all the fishing boats destroyed, every ship was destroyed. People are probably legitimately starving because of what the Empire did. The Empire knew where she is. This is her last known mailing address, okay? Everybody who she owes money to knows where she lives. There is no way they're going to the island. Okay, so they phase to black, come back in. Oh, they're at the island. They're all talking to each other. We're all sewing it up. Everybody's there. Nothing gets resolved. Omega's back on the island again. You see a few clones running around, which, by the way, you want to talk about the border crisis here in America. That island, they're really starting to pump their population with their own people. Every time they come back, they got like 50 people with them. Those islanders got to be like, hey, we only got so much sushi here, guys. You're going to have to start talking to us about all these people you're bringing in.
What's funny is they're like, oh, are the clones going to stay here? And they're like, well, they can decide what they want to do. And I'm like, they're staying there. They're not leaving.
Why would you leave? It's like a paradise. We get to eat sushi all day. Like, of course you're going to stay there. What are you doing? You're like fish? Like, what's happening here? They did. But here's the weird thing, though. So they're going onto the ship. He turns around and looks. He turns around and looks over there where Omega and Crosshair are. He gives a slight nod, which I thought was weird because I'm assuming they said bye earlier because that was weird. And then she goes in and just ghosts Omega. She didn't even give a last bye to Omega. She just went to the ship like she didn't know who that little girl was.
Yeah.
And I thought that was weird. I was like, we didn't get a last like closing goodbye.
No.
They already hugged earlier in the episode.
They already had their hugging scene.
So they kind of pan around. You see a bunch of clones. You see those other three like younger boy clones. They were kind of there, and I saw in the background a little bit. People are kind of hanging out. Did you guys see the kids? I didn't see the kids. I'm sure they showed them somewhere.
They were running around.
Okay.
Yeah, the green.
We see the kids. We're going around. Boom, goes to black. Show's over with. And I was like,
okay. Before you continue, I would have been much happier if they just.
If the show ended right there, you're damn right. That's where it should have ended.
Under that tree together, smiling for a minute while.
Yep.
What? I forgot to check. Did Echo have his robot hand on?
No.
And if not, why didn't he give it to Crosshair?
Here's the thing, though. Every time they showed Echo with that robot hand, it was just sitting here. Like, it didn't move. It was just like there. I don't think it moved. I think it was just there for looks because it never like.
It was like a dummy.
Yeah, I think it was just a dummy hand.
Arms. Where's Crosshair's? Crosshair should just be like a hook, so you can just pull the trigger like.
I don't think you've been to the mod factory yet to get any kind of.
Oh no!
He hadn't visited the scooter kids yet. He doesn't know where the mod factory is, bro. Like that's why.
So I would have been happy with them ending under the tree. The three of them, the four of them, everyone lives. No one died. We have the happiest of happy stories.
Someone was gonna die.
The villains died, and Tonwi died. No, sorry, not Tonwi. Nala Se died. That's
Grandpa
it.
Died.
Yeah, ramp the villains, and Nala Se died. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, sit under the tree. Everyone's in the tree. Happy, happy, happy. End it there. But no. They tease us. They show another shot of the island in the future. And it goes.
The Bat Cave, right? Is it the Bat Cave?
So, when it started going, and I saw this, like, the woman cry, for a second at the beginning, I'm like, is that Ventress? And then when I was like, when it dawned on me, and I'm like, no way.
Emery.
And I was
like,
it
kind of looked like Emery a little bit. Yeah, I thought maybe it was her too for a second.
Yeah. Then it's revealed. You see Echo as an adult.
You mean Echo? You mean Omega?
Sorry, Omega.
Because he was pretty. He got pretty at the end. He got hair and everything.
Hey, that's Echo and Emery's the first inbred clone.
So Omega's running around with longer hair. She's running through the cave as an adult. She turns on the light, and a gray-haired what?
God help me. When she was going through that, I'm like, she's an adult, and I'm like, okay, she's gonna be coming back to Pabu to the graves of the team.
Wow, you were really trying to go dark and have everyone dead, weren't you?
You're right.
Jesus Christ!
Like again, what's the point of the me? So
we only know that Hunter's alive, right?
She says, tell Crosshair and Wrecker that I will because like she's sneaking off, and Hunter's the only one because he probably felt her vibration.
Yeah, he got the vibrations. He got his sensors back. He got his sensors back.
He walked over to the thing to intercept her. All right, but yeah, so Hunter's there looking Sylvester Stallone.
So we're talking what, about 10 years? So about 8 BBY.
It's during the rebellion still.
Well, don't forget they have advanced aging, so it might not have actually been that long because they don't age faster than everyone else.
Yeah, but she's like a young adult. At the very least, she's like 18. At the very least.
I was thinking about 10 years.
Yeah, 10 possibly.
Years maybe a little less. But not only, well, guess who else is still alive? Batcher. He doesn't age like a dog.
I know. I was going to say that ain't a normal dog. That son of a gun dog. He didn't age. It's a she. She didn't age a second. My goodness gracious!
Like get up like all geriatric and everything, and like shamble over to her.
And she didn't have no gray or nothing. She's ready to go like old time. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. But she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go. He says, what do you think you're doing? He's got a little gray. He actually looked kind of cool. A little gray. I thought she looked kind of cool. Yeah. And she was like, the rebellion needs pilots. And he was like, okay, well, we don't want you to go. Oh, this is my fight now. You fought. Now it's my turn. We knew you were going to go. So why did you even stick going there anyway? And then she says, take care of everybody for me. I'm out. We're going to miss you. If you ever need us, just give us a call. And then she flies off.
Presumably it gets shot out in space immediately.
Here's the thing. I said this. I don't know if I think I said it before we came on. The Canadian said, like season 2, that it's annoying. One of the reasons why she's annoying is because
her voice does not change at all.
He said that that they never learn any lessons. Like they just keep screwing up. They don't learn the lesson. The next episode, she makes the same mistake over and over again. Her decisions have killed a crap ton of people on that island. They go right back to the island and put those poor people in danger. Everybody in the Empire knows who she is. There was all kinds of bulletins out for her. And she knows that that her body is needed to do something for the Empire that's evil. It involves Jedis, it involves her. They need something to do with her to clone something evil. So at the very least, for the dignity of the rest of the freaking universe, keep your ass in a hole somewhere. Don't come out. Hide. And instead, she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head right towards the Empire. I'm going to go be a pilot and fight the Empire right there so they catch me and they find me again. Yes, she should have been deep undercover. It said, no, I went back to my last place. Everybody knows where I live. I live in the same house I briefly grew up in. Everybody knows where to find me. Every bounty hunter, every Ventress, everybody knows where I'm living. And I just hanging out there until I get old. Like, what? But that's it. That is the Bad Batch episode. Nothing was resolved.
I will say one thing, though. I was so happy Ahsoka didn't just randomly show up at the end there and do something. You don't know how happy I was in hindsight going, that made me feel a little better.
All right, so this is the whole series. What did you guys think of the series? Did you like it? Dislike it? What did you guys think?
First off, this episode 3.
You give this episode a 3?
Yes.
Wow, that's a little low.
I give it a 3 because, like I said, everything that happened in it, like nothing resolved. It basically just kind of open booked ended it with everyone living, and even then, the jump forward proves that nothing happened. Like none of the stuff that they did mattered. Everything everything went back to normal. Like nothing even happened.
Yeah, for 10 years.
For 10 years, presumably at least. I liked the scene with Rampart and Analyse. What's his name at the top of the thing? The death for Hemlock, and then the Godzilla. That's it. The Xyla Beast Godzilla stuff. That's
90% of the episode, but you still gave it a 3. Interesting. Kanchong, what do you give it?
That was it.
No, I mean, I had. I thought there was a lot of good scenes, but I was pretty disappointed in the end, and I'd probably give it a 6.5.
Now I want you to clip that and hold on to that. He said I was pretty disappointed, and I would just know a man who can't be disappointed was disappointed.
Yes, I think your emotions of them not resolving anything, although this is going to sound kind of asinine. I know I'm about to sound kind of stupid right now, what I'm about to say. I think that your feelings of them not resolving anything colored that 3 because you just said like 90% of the episode was pretty good, but I gave it a 3.
No. I said that the Xylo Beast, I like the Xylo Beast.
That's right.
The Xylo Beast not continuing to attack the base and just disappear into the woods, where, again, its whole thing is it wants power and energy, is the stupidest goddamn thing in the world.
Well, to be fair, he did say turn off the reactor, but they still had power, so it didn't matter.
He did say that.
But they still
there
had
was
power.
a lot of lights. There was
a lot of lights
still going on that
for
place.
turn off the reactor. They still had a lot of backup generators apparently because that thing was still running just fine.
He ran to Home Depot before and got it all.
I would say this: it was so disappointing for me. Oh, where to add? But that's fine. We were so disappointing to me because I liked it a lot. I like the feel of it. I like the darkness of it. I like the foreshadowing, the overwhelming stuff. It's definitely going to happen. And to me, that's what makes it so sad that it didn't deliver on that because they just, like you said, they just dropped the ball at the end and let everyone live. So all that foreshadowing, all that brooding, all that darkness stuff that made that episode really good. That I was really excited for what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they just had this felt like this was supposed to be on like Disney Kids or something like this episode. Like you at the end, like we're not going to show anyone get too hurt.
The Rebels as a series had a much more satisfying ending, which still had like the only character who died was Kanan, which is a big death.
Yeah.
Like example for this show with Tech was at the end of last season, but the difference was at the end of that series, it felt more fulfilled, more resolved with like Ezra. Even if you were like, oh, where are these characters? Like Ezra disappearing and Thrawn disappearing, all this stuff, and then having the post finale where it showed all the characters after the fact was a lot more of a great resolution and more adult than this, where everyone lives, everything is fine, we're gonna go back home. And then 10 years later, we basically just been chilling here this entire time, surfing, eating sushi, and playing with Batcher.
That's it. Omega was that kid, and she grew up.
Or at the very least, it could have been a thing of she flew away, and then Crosshair and Wrecker come out from hiding, and they were there the whole time, right? Or Hunter goes back to them, and then they're like, we saw her leave, we knew she was going to leave. Yeah. And then they could have had a nice,
Yeah, or she could have said something like, she did say like, you guys fought your fight or whatever. Now it's my turn. And she could have said, and you guys now have these lives here. You guys have great lives. You're happy here. Let me go do my thing. If you had just said that line, it would at least let you know there's something happened to him for the last 10 years. We're guessing instead of just eating sushi and looking up at the sky, like something was going on with them. But they didn't even say that. She didn't even say, like, you have a great life here. Let me go find my life now. No. She just said, tell him I said, what's up? Catch you on the flip side, baby. And got in the car and drove off to college. Like, that's what happened. That's it. It's over.
So you asked, before I just said my score, you asked us what was our thoughts overall of the series.
Overall, this series. Well, I guess I should say season. Let's do season. Yeah, let's do season, obviously, before series.
I personally preferred season 2's like all the Crosshair stuff, all the episodes with Crosshair and all that to this season. But as a whole, this is easily the better of the seasons.
Yeah.
I would say for me, there's a lot of 7s and a few 8s in this season, like a lot, and only a few like 6s and 5s or whatever. And I know for a fact every other season I was like ready to give it a 2 and a 3 sometimes. So this has to be overall on average a higher rated season for me than a lot of the other ones, because some of those other seasons when there was bad episodes, there was like me wanting to burn my TV to the ground. Bad episodes. So
yeah, I told my wife that, and she's like, "Why does he watch it?"
Oh, you know what though? I think back on season 2 there was some stupid stuff in season 2. I think back on that. I think back on the stuff where you had like they were in Coruscant with the clones and Rex and Senator Tucci, and then they had that was something that was the most quick mention of a comment I ever heard in my life in the episode finale. That Rex and them are on Senator Tucci's planet. That's where they're residing and they're hiding out on the clones.
Oh yeah, they did mention that for like a half of a second. I forgot about that. Yeah,
and I was like, well, what?
That was just before they had their moment. You probably forgot about it because they had their moment.
Yeah. What? But yeah. So, anyways, I think about that stuff and like the Camino industry in the Senate showing that with Rampart and all that, and I think back on that, going, yeah, I did enjoy that a lot better than this stuff. But my God, yeah, I don't know.
There were some good scenes, maybe a few good episodes in the other seasons. The stuff with Rex and Crosshair, those kind of scenes. But yeah, I think this season was the better of the three overall.
Now, as a series, it's certainly the weakest series I think they've done across all the animated shows. It's definitely better than Obi-Wan, I think.
No, just because Obi-Wan's there, that's not true. Obi-Wan exists on that series, so no, it can't be. It can't be better.
And I still think this is better than Book of Boba Fett.
It's definitely better than Book of Boba Fett. Yeah.
No, but Boba's there. What are you saying?
It's better than the Book of Boba, but it's not better than what was it? Mandalorian season 2.5. Like the Mandalorian season 2.5 was better inside the Book of Boba, but the actual Book of Boba part of the Book of Boba was not very good. No.
But it's definitely it's so low to me in my mind. Like I will never rewatch any of this again. I will never sit down. I went back and rewatched some of Tales of the Jedi randomly the other day. I will never go back to the show, I think.
Listen, and as far as Book of Boba goes, there are parts that I might want to rewatch, like a clip on YouTube. I don't want to watch the whole episode, but I'll go back and rewatch a few clips on YouTube, Book of Boba. I'm not going to go rewatch this for anything at all. I did enjoy it, but again, there is such an enjoyment drop-off. It's Omega, obviously, from them, and when the story is totally based on them, we're having their crisis they're going through personally and all this stuff. That stuff it reminds you more of my favorite part of story, which is a Clone Wars cartoon. That reminds you more of that. And then every time they focus on Omega, every time they give her more than like 3 words to say, it just absolutely takes over and it makes it not as very good. So, but then we go to the guy who cannot be disappointed. How many times are you going to rewatch this series, do you think, Kachung?
I don't know. Maybe if they have an edit where they edit Omega out the entire series, see how it plays.
I'll see what I can do. I'll try to edit. We'll call it the MrGarrell edit, and I'll just try to edit out any reference to her or anything of her, and I can do the whole series in about an hour, probably. Like this would be like an hour long. Yeah, like I said, it's not that I'm like, man, I really wish I wouldn't have watched that. Like there were some times of like Kenobi and Book of Boba where I was like, I kind of wish these didn't exist just because of what it means for like the fandom overall. Yeah. I wouldn't say this does that, but it does do more of like, I think it did more damage to the Empire because it just shows that they're just a bunch of bumbling idiots. And I don't know why people are scared of the Empire right now. I really don't, because they never seem to be very effectual. They never seem to be able to fucking rub 2 sticks together to make fire. I have no clue why people are scared of the Empire. And I felt like, oh shit, what was the name of the TV show that we liked?
Andor.
I feel like Andor which is trying to pull that back where you'll see why you're supposed to be afraid of them. And then the show like this comes out, you're like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of idiots. I'm not afraid of them at all. But you know, hey, I got to watch it. I got to hang out with you guys, talk about it. So that's cool.
This has been more enjoyable than the series.
I don't know if anybody else finds our little talks enjoyable, but
watch our reviews of the season. Then I will a single clip from the show.